All right, welcome everyone. This is Jane Guyette with Boomi Health. And tonight we're going to be talking about how unresolved unconscious stress keeps you fat, sick, and fatigued. The 4 practical tools that will lead you back to health. So thank you so much for joining me tonight and taking up your very valuable, precious time with me and my coaches here. You'll see in the panel coaches wave and say hi. I'm going to introduce them here soon. If you're not going to just be listening to me tonight. This is a presentation where you may want to have kind of a pen and a paper available to note any personal observations that you might have, like emotions that you might have, maybe something that we talk about tonight might trigger something. That might come up for you, maybe a memory that you want to write down. But before we get started, I actually want to do a grounding exercise. Okay, so what we're going to do, and this is just kind of to be in the moment. So what I want you to do is I want you to first kind of, if you're sitting, stomp your feet on the ground. Just kind of be present. Feel the ground, just stomp, 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 stomp. And then take your hands and then just kind of touch your legs, pat your legs, pat all the way up, start from your feet, go up your leg, go up your thigh, do the left side and then the right side, and then kind of go up your body, tap your arms, tap, 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 be here in the present moment, kind of give yourself some love, like rub your hands behind your neck, right? This builds the oxytocin. Got our love hormone going on, bring us present. Kind of run our hands through our hair. Presenters are going, Jane, no, I don't want to mess up my hair. Rub your hands in through, feel your face. Take a deep breath in. And just ground and be present. So welcome, everyone. So this presentation, for those of you who know me, I founded Boomi Health, and I run a program called the Second Heart Cleanse. And for those of you from out in California have known me for a while, that's my transformational liver and gallbladder cleanse program. And so a lot of times you get these presentations, you hear me, and I'm talking about the liver and, you know, all elements of the liver and kind of the technical terms. And tonight's going to be a little bit different, okay? So we're going to be talking about stress and how that affects our body, how that, you know, how do the emotions play in it? How does it get stuck in our body? How do we clear it? So we're in a time right now like no other where tensions are high, right? We've just had a very intense election. People's reactions are really high. I think compassion is the last thing that people are thinking about right now, right? We're just kind of reactionary. So I felt that this was a good time to bring in this type of seminar to talk about stress, to talk about how we relate to stress, what does it mean, and what does it do in our body? Because we need, you know, we need to be the little soldiers here right now, right? To be well grounded in a world right now that seems just kind of out of control. All right. So let me see, I don't know why my slides aren't moving. There we go. So as I said, I'm a transformational nutrition coach, and I'm the founder of Boomi Health. The coaching staff that work with me at Boomi Health, we're big on the foundational holistic principles. What we're going to share with you today is something that most practitioners miss, or they kind of they talk about it and they kind of glaze over it. It's the root to why most people experience chronic illness, and the most important foundational principle that must be attended to when beginning any new healing program. This webinar, it rings true to my heart. For many years, I suffered from depression, fatigue, anxiety, and panic attacks. You know, I've had panic attacks. You know, I'm talking to you right now, but talking and being in front of a stage wasn't always that easy. And I've had some of my worst nightmares are in a room full of people where I literally froze on the podium, that kind of stress. So, you know, when I had that kind of an anxiety, right, there was no medication when I was in that state, or supplement or food plan that could set me free from the pain. It wasn't until a spiritual coach actually showed up in my office one day, and this was probably about 10 years ago, and she gave me hope and a practical tool, and I took daily action. Within 1 month, literally everything had disappeared. It was a miracle. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in the presentation, and I'm also going to talk about later in the presentation the special offer. So make sure you stay till the end. Okay? So now I want to do a quick introduction of my coaches. Tara DiNuccio, let me start by saying, you know, these brilliant ladies, I brought them in because they have miraculous stories of healing to share with you. They're exceptional teachers and coaches with whom make the core Boomi Health program, the Second Heart Cleanse, a huge success. So Tara has worked several times on my cleanse, and she is an integral coach. Maura Kennedy is a holistic coach. Maura Kennedy, I kind of call her my holistic cheerleader. She's always happy, and we want to have fun. She brings a lot of fun to the table. And then Melinda saves me when it comes to editing. So you don't see typos, and everything is really organized. But in addition, Melinda is a transformative language an artist and coach. And so later on in this presentation, they're all going to give you some tools to help you with stress or release stress. Okay. What makes these ladies unique and why I brought them on is that they've all been through their courageous healing journeys. And I asked them to join me today because I'm committed to providing, you know, research and science information along with grounded experience. I think that's even more important. So what that means for you is a practical and relatable program that's relevant to your life. So thank you, ladies, for being on. All right, so just to let you know, this presentation is strictly for informational, educational purposes only. It's not intended to serve as medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, but to share knowledge from the research and experience of myself at Boomi Health and my contributing experts. We encourage you to do your own research and always consult with your licensed healthcare provider before altering or changing any of your medical treatment or prescription medications. So let's begin. Let's get into the discussion now. So you probably saw something in one of your emails that attracted you to this webinar, so that's why you're here. For each person on the call, it may be something different, right? The things that connects us is the undeniable desire of the soul or the shared desire for health and well-being. What gets in the way of well-being are the stresses of life, some avoidable and some unavoidable. Or it's the combination and compound effect of those stresses over time that result in blocked energy pathways in the body, leading to imbalances and disease. It's important to identify that what we think is the root cause of our stress in actuality is only a symptom of the root cause. So take a few moments, if you have that pen and paper handy, and just kind of quickly, you know, write in your notebook what stressors kind of plague you right now. You know, what's kind of looming? What's the backpack that you're wearing right now that's really causing you a lot of stress? You know, and write those down. So, you know, is it a relationship stress? Is it something personal? Maybe you're having a hard time finding balance. Maybe body image, right? Maybe you just can't drop the extra pounds. You know, maybe you're dealing with an illness that you just can't seem to, whatever you try, it just won't go away. Or maybe there's some kind of trauma in your past that keeps getting triggered for you. And maybe the stresses, you just don't have enough time in the day. So jot that down. Now, what we want to look at, though, is really define what stress is a little bit more and how does it affect us. So, stress is the response of the body for any demand for change. Okay, so any kind of change that's hitting you, it could look like, you know, trauma, accident, could be, you know, some communication that we misinterpreted. Stress could be something you're eating that's not good for you. We're always in constant movement or constant change, all right? It's not easy to define. It's subjective, okay? And it's subjective because what appears stressful for one person may not appear stressful for another. So if you look at this picture here to the left of the bungee cord jumper, right? You know, to one person might go, woohoo, I want to do that. I've never done that. I want to try that. Let's do it. This sounds like exciting, exhilarating, right? And powers it up. And then the other person's going, no way, there's no way I'm going to do that. I'm in complete terror ever thinking doing. So, you know, it is subjective. We just don't know. One person relates to stress one way, a situation one way, and another person might relate to another way. It's like, you know, if somebody goes through a divorce, right? One person may be in pure relief, and the other person may be just a devastating life event, okay? So the last bullet here is what we're really going to focus on in this webinar. It's the negative impact of stress is that it's held in the body, blocking our natural energetic system. Okay? It's like, you know, what is held in our body? We can't see it, smell it, taste it, but boy, can we feel it. So that's what we're going to talk about. And I want to talk about kind of like, how does science look at it, right? Because I talked about science a little bit. And there is proof that stress can be held in the body. So Candace Pert, a biophysicist, believes that repressed emotions are stored in the body, or what we call the unconscious mind. And Dr. John Upledger, who's well known in the field and founder of craniosacral therapy, says that the body can retain the imprints of physical trauma in the tissues. He labels them as energy cysts. And it's interesting because when I work with clients on their health, you know, I try to look to see, you know, what the root cause is of their illness or their symptoms that they've gone on. And I had one client who I worked with for 6 months. Her diet was pristine. We did all the right things. She was doing meditation. I mean, we had it all dialed in. And then I started to map out where her symptoms could potentially be originated. And it just noticed it was in her head. You know, it was around some of it was in the brain. And I asked her, I said, you know, have you ever had a brain scan? Has anything ever happened to you? And she goes, well, it's funny. I was just in meditation and had forgotten that I got hit in the head with a baseball when I was 6. And I went, oh, and it was in the exact location where she had just reoccurring headaches. And then this was literally 50 years later, right? This injury created stress in her body, and it was never released. And so she might have had headaches when she was 6 years old, but over the 50 years, she developed more and more and more and more symptoms, and it just got worse and worse. So it was just a real interesting when we actually finally figured out potentially what the root cause was of her illness over so many years. So it was a very freeing thing for her. Barbara Brennan, who's a leader in transpersonal energy healing, talks about frozen energy consciousness. And this is really interesting because it's the part of our psyche associated with the event that kind of froze in the moment, right? It doesn't mature as we do. So if you had a traumatic event, say at the age of 2, right? And say you had that traumatic event, you weren't able to process the emotion or the event. And so it's very traumatizing for you. So that energy rests in your body in that place. And that emotion never grows. It never matures as we mature. So anytime that emotion is triggered, the 2-year-old comes out. So if that person is 30 years old, right, they're not handling that emotion as a 30-year-old. They're handling it as a 2-year-old. So that the energy, it kind of freezes us in that particular moment. Don McFarland, chiropractor and energy healer, says, wherever there is chronic repetition and behavioral pattern bring about mental or emotional pain, there is a corresponding physical energy pattern. All right. So I don't know if this is triggering anything for anyone. If you're thinking of kind of your health differently now, or starting to look at it a little differently, we're going to go into this a little bit deeper. even the work of Albert Einstein with his space-time continuum overturned the Newtonian theories of three-dimensional world, right? And it's funny that our Western medicine system still works in the Newtonian principles, right, of the whole physical and the three-dimensional, and mostly ignores the power of the unseen energy. Again, we need to move away from the thought that if we can't see it, touch it, taste it, or smell it, it doesn't exist. So this is kind of a new thinking, a new way, or not even a new way, I would say more of an awareness that we need to start thinking about when it comes to health. So the unconscious stressors, this is kind of a summary. The conscious and unconscious stressors of life lead to blocked energy, resulting in signs, symptoms, and behavioral patterns. And we're going to look to see what are these signs, symptoms, and behavioral patterns. Okay, so this is kind of a summary of the list. And this list, we all know, can be huge, right? Signs, symptoms, behaviors, and we're just going to touch on a few. So some of the things when we have this trapped energy, and maybe you can identify, can you identify with any of these, right? And if you can, write them down in your little notebook, you know, when you're dealing with unconscious eating, or when you have major mood swings or disorders that, they're reoccurring over and over again. When you're making unhealthy life choices that you really know at a conscious level you shouldn't be making, but you're kind of compelled to do it, or you're stuck in fight or flight or freeze. There's a cycle of drama, and then just the dis-ease, right? Dis-ease. So, you've probably been possibly in that situation where you thought that if you just try harder, right, these things are going to disappear. How many of you have been there, right? If you just try hard, if I take a little bit more supplements, or if I eat a little bit cleaner, right? If I'm just perfect on that diet, it's kind of the more is better approach, right? And we do these things, we do more and more and more and more, and we're really not getting to the root cause of this, right? And you keep looping. So you see this little arrow going back at yourself, right? We're never able to escape that, right? How many times have you made, right, a New Year's resolution, right? We're really close to New Year's, right? Just to fall off the wagon by the second week in January. So what I'm here to tell you is really kind of not your fault, right? There's forces within that take us off track even when we have the best intention. So let's take a closer look at these signs, symptoms, and behaviors that motivate us. So maybe there's something that you might see in here. They're like, oh, I just can't get rid of. All right, so the unconscious eating, right? So essentially caused by, the body and psyche wanting to meet an unmet need. Okay, the body wants to seek and find balance, creating kind of uncontrollable cravings. Maybe it's some kind of deficiency, mineral deficiency, and that's what's causing the cravings. Okay, comfort food. It brings a temporary pleasure, right? So maybe we've been holding on to this stress that may be causing depression or anxiety. And that temporary little sugar plug, right? Eating sugar increases, just kind of triggers a dopamine for a very short period of time. Of course, we crash and burn after that, and there's problems with that over a period of time. Persistent weight gain can act as a protective shield, right? So we keep putting on more weight, on more weight, on more weight, because we just feel like we're constantly being attacked. And it's really an unconscious thing, I think, in a lot of people. We frequently find ourselves binging and starving. And we continue to make those unhealthy food choices like I had talked earlier about, we know we really shouldn't be eating those things. We know we shouldn't be eating the candy bars. They're really not good for us. One with all the sugar and the genetically modified ingredients, but we still do them anyway. And then the mood swings, right? So, do you have a lot of episodes? Do you get triggered a lot with fear or anger or sadness, maybe depression, anxiety, PMS, PTSD? I mean, this I can relate to completely. I've had moments, when before I had my tools, I had moments where I was in panic and anxiety 24/7, 7 days a week. There wasn't anything, no medication, there was no food, nothing, nobody, there was no counselor that could actually help me or did help me to resolve that. And then unhealthy lifestyle choices, right? Everybody knows smoking is not good for you, but you know, there's some, we do it anyway, right? We know we should be sleeping 7 to 8 hours a day, not exercising, you know, not moving, having more of a sedentary lifestyle. Maybe the negative self-talk, maybe we're, oh, I shouldn't have done that, I can't do that. We're in the shame, blame, guilt, with ourselves. We're not giving ourselves love. And then doing things, substitutes for love. Maybe we're shopping a little bit excessively when we really can't afford it, or we've got a gambling thing going on. We're just taking up time in our life for the lack of love that we might need or lacking. And then substance abuse, the alcohol and drugs, and this goes, and I'll almost, with this, it's not just prescription drugs, it's not just illegal drugs, but even over the counter. I've even noticed, even with, friends and family that are near to me, how reliant they are in that over the counter medication. Give me the drug so that I can not feel anymore. Okay. And it's just kind of the habit where we get kind of stuck into, the role we get stuck into. And then that feeling of overwhelm, right? If you're stuck in fight, flight, or freeze, we're unable to cope with the normal day-to-day. Maybe we just don't have enough time in the day. There's so many demands on us from family, parents, kids, spouses, from friends, from our work life. Maybe we're having a hard time eating healthy meals. The thought of having, to pull that carrot out, to peel it and slice it, seems overwhelming to us. And boy, I just rather have a TV dinner, right, that I can pop in the microwave, because everybody's so stressed and overwhelmed. And then all the deadlines, do we know, we don't know how to say no anymore, right? We're losing, we're not connected to ourselves. We don't know our limits, and we don't know how to say no to folks, and set boundaries. It's really the boundaries. So this leaves our life as a drama. And I've had those days, those weeks, and even years, and it just kept attracting, and you just couldn't turn it off, right? Do you ever feel like it just makes you feel like as if you don't have power? There's too many demands on you. There's not enough time in the day, and you're saying, well, if only I did that, or what if I did this? And, they should do that, and you're in everybody else's story. You're constantly looping in your own story over and over and over and over again. Getting the picture? Are we exhausted now? So, let's hold the image, right, of the moments of our life in dramatic performance, right? Where, is maybe that, you do have a lot of drama in your life, or maybe you don't. Maybe that's something you want to jot down in your notebook right now. So, and over time, what's the cost to your well-being? What are those symptoms that we're really looking at, right? And there's a lot more than what's on this list, right? With disease, weight gain, chronic illness, hormone balance, heart disease, chronic pain. If we stopped here and we didn't do anything about this, right, it'd be a really sad story. It would kind of get worse and worse and worse. It would kind of build on itself. But what you need to know is that our past, it doesn't define or limit us, right? It's our awareness of this and choice that liberate all possibilities for the future. Awareness and choice happen in the here and now. So the invitation before you is to choose your life. Practice is how we change and grow, not to get away from what we don't want, but to move forward what we do want. Understanding stress is important, but understanding the practices that support our movement through stress is the essential element that will support health, well-being, and a satisfying life. So valve. Now we're going to turn now, and we're going to look at how do we bring awareness in, and making the choice and the commitment to really work on removing these blockages. So, are you ready to start living an extraordinary life, right? Vibrant, energized, engaged, passionate, and purposeful and fulfilled, right? Are you ready to release the weight, literally and figuratively, right? Curb the cravings, eliminate the pain, and say no to the drama. And what I want to tell you is that this is not a solo adventure, right? This is, and maybe some of you have experienced this before, that we can't do it alone. That's my experience, that I don't think I can do this alone. You know, even my business, I can't even do it alone. This is why I have these wonderful ladies here with me. It takes time and it takes action. I relied, if I didn't have my spiritual teacher that came in my office when she did, I don't know where I would be right now. Okay, I relied on her. I relied on other practitioners, acupuncturists, chiropractors. I attended personal development seminars. I asked for help from my angels and spirit guides. Yep, I'm going there. But what I discovered was most effective were kind of group programs, okay, where I could work on the whole body, mind, body, spirit. So not only we're working on cleanses, like I do with the Second Heart Cleanse, and working on the food and cleaning up our diet and our lifestyle, but we're also working on the mind and the spirit, okay, and trying to transform that which does not serve us internally in community. So in community, it's so important, and it works, what's the word I'm looking for, just exponentially faster and easier in my experiences in running group programs. So I do have a group program. I'm going to tell you about that in a few minutes. But what we can do now is we want to move, and you're probably asking, well, how do I move from this place of, this unconscious of this stuff that's running my life that I don't know about yet, and how do I move into conscious living? So this is where I asked the assistant of my coaches here, Maura, Tara, and Melinda, and I'm going to introduce them one by one, and they're going to guide you through their practical tools of healing first. And we have 4 tools that we're going to share with you. Each one of them has our own, and we are going to first start with Maura. So Maura is a holistic coach. Maura and I, we spend a lot of time on the phone talking about this, and talking about how we can make our clients' lives better through awareness in the body. So Maura, why don't you go ahead and take it away and tell us about your practical tool.
Hello, everyone. I'm Maura Kennedy, and I'm here to educate you about some body awareness. First, just tell you a little bit about myself. I've personally suffered with autoimmune diseases for over 20 years. I feel like I have the whole list of gamut of them. Thyroid disorder, lupus, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, colitis. The list can go on. It seems like once you collect them, you just keep collecting them. So I had gone through some really, really low points with dealing with this. Extreme brain fog, extreme fatigue, obviously with the chronic fatigue. I remember one time when I was going to run out and try to do a few quick errands, and I could not remember the garage code to get out of the garage. So at that point, I put down the car keys and thought, okay, you're not going anywhere. You should not be operating a car. Get back inside. So it's a really humbling experience when you go through things like that. I have 3 kids. I could not be the mother that I wanted to my 3 kids, the mother that I dreamed of being. I'm an avid athlete, and I had to give up my running, give up my triathlons. Walking around the block seemed to be a huge effort, which again is heartbreaking when you're giving up, everything that you love to do. And being a holistic person, this kind of brought me down my path of holistic. I felt like I had seen every doctor. I had tried so many different protocols, every supplement. I was just like whatever you can give me, whatever you can give me, I'll try it, I'll try it, I'll try it. I kept grabbing and reaching and grabbing and reaching, trying to get out of this cycle. I felt like that gerbil, that hamster in a wheel from that slideshow. And my husband, would say to me, oh my gosh, you're like this lab rat to these doctors. Like, how much more? I'd done every lab test out there. I would go to a new doctor with my stack of labs and they would be like, oh my goodness, you've done that, you've done this, don't even know how to analyze that one. I kept searching. And then finally I was just like, enough's enough. Like I couldn't do it anymore. And I found a coach, and I actually found a mind, body, spirit coach. I was like, it's time to take a whole new approach on this health. And it wasn't until I met this coach and actually learned about the mind body connection that I actually got it. It's like the light bulb went off, like, woohoo, I get it. And it was, it's all about tuning into your body and being aware of your body. And it was, when I first started, I'm like, oh my goodness, I've heard this over and over again. Be present, be present, be present. Like, we've all heard that. And it's like, yeah. But until someone actually teaches you and hands you a tool of how to be present in your body, it's just a bunch of words and you kind of don't get it. So one of the first things I had to do to learn to be present is I kind of had to do a lot of clearing. I had to clear out a lot of the garbage and a lot of what I had learned and been taught and thought. And one of the tools that really helped me was Jane's liver cleanse. I did the liver cleanse and it was just like, oh my gosh, it was just like the clouds, so many clouds lifted within a week from my head. And it was like, wow, I can think clearly now. And with that clear thought, I knew that this was the work that I had to do more. So the tools that I'm going to teach you, here they go, just a short little practice of it. You will get a PDF with, try to walk yourself through it, but I can talk you through a little bit of it right now. First is to get clear, do whatever you have to do to just feel clear, more clear in your head. And then I want you to actually feel the sensations that come up in your body, whether it's fatigue or brain fog, or, if you're feeling like aches and pains, shoulder pains, leg pains, whatever they are. I'll never forget doing this one day and my legs were just aching me. And I laid with my legs up on the wall and I did this and I went through it. Just speaking to my body and paying attention to my body. And it was like the pain went away like that. And no Advil, no anything could have taken the pain away, in those minutes. So you really need to stop. I want you to get clear and take a few minutes, go to a quiet place. I've even gone into a bathroom to do this, to just stop, get centered, and get clear. And then you want to ask your body questions. You want to start asking your body questions. And it sounds crazy, but it actually works. So, maybe thank your body. Thank your body for the pain. That's how I start. It's usually pain or fatigue that's bothering me. So it's like, thanks, body. Thanks for this fatigue today. Thank you for stopping me dead in my tracks. Thank you for protecting me, because that's what your body's doing. That's what these symptoms that are coming up, your body's there to protect you and to help you. So the next thing then is ask your body what it needs. Body, what do you need from me? And just really be quiet and listen, and your body will answer you. And I'm not saying this is easy, and I'm not saying you're going to get it the first time. It's like a muscle. You kind of have to practice it, just like weightlifting or any other muscle, your brain muscles. You kind of have to practice this routine. And I wouldn't have been able to do this unless I hired a coach to teach me and to walk me through it. And, now I teach other people how to do this, and, I can do it for myself. I can do it for my kids. I can, really help other people, help friends, because it's, it's really easy. And the one great thing about this tool is it's free. You don't have to schedule it. You don't have to make any appointments. You just literally have to stop yourself. And you can move this energy in 10 minutes. You can move anger, stress, these stuck emotions. So it's awesome once you can cultivate this intuition within you, because I want to let you all know that we have the power inside us, and we all have the answers inside us, all these answers that we're seeking outside everywhere, running to doctors, taking all the supplements, all of this. It's like, really, the answers are inside us, and I can't, stress that enough. What you want to do is all these outside things, there's tools. They're tools that you want to use. Just like this tool that I'm teaching you, just like going to a doctor, he's, you need to start thinking of him as a tool. This doctor is going to assist me. He's not going to make me better. He doesn't have all my answers. He's going to educate me, and he's going to assist me. I even use this not even when I'm exhausted, fatigued, ache, or pain. I use it when I'm out running. I use it in spin class. I was just in spin class the other day, and it was like, push through this 2-minute interval, go, 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 go. And I was like feeling some resistance in my body. And I was like, Maura, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you go? And my body was like, hell yeah, I'm feeling great today. And I was like, okay, we're on board. Crank it up, get going. There's been other days where it's like, no, back it off. I'm not up for this. So you can use this all the time. You can use it in the grocery store with foods. Use it with your supplements. I want you to know that it really can be a light and easy and fun process once you learn this tool. So if you have any questions, just reach out. That's why us coaches are here to help you. I want you to start practicing this tool. You're going to get the PDF. So just have some fun with it and play with it and see what your body has. It has the answers. Thank you.
Great, Maura, thanks. Great information. So just Maura referred to the PDF. So we are going to have tomorrow in your email, you will have a PDF of all these wonderful practical tools all laid out for you. Some of them are written out and some will be in video form. So thanks, Maura. This is a super important information because our body does talk to us and it does take practice. All right, so next one, our practice power tool is from our coach, Tara D'Amico. And she's going to be talking about transformation from the inside out. Tara is an integral coach and has worked on my cleanse now. Gosh, it's been several cleanses now with us, helping folks transform this energy actually during our cleanses. So go ahead, Tara.
Great. Well, thank you for all for being here tonight. This is the beginning of a great inquiry that you're making into the cleanse. Just in the short time that we have here, this is a bigger topic than just a few minutes can cover right now, but transformation really does happen from the inside out. As Maura mentioned, there's so many times that we are looking outside of ourselves for the answer, and sometimes that's the necessary place to look. More often than not, it's tuning in to what interiorly is going on, what's my experience. I was quite ill when I first met Jane. I was mercury toxic, and had I not really tuned into the intuition of my own body, I actually am afraid to even think about where I'd be right now. But it was that interior connection to myself and looking at what were the necessary components of what I needed to pursue to heal. So in the interest of time, I won't go into a length of the story around my own illness, but I really want to talk about life as the field of practice. So in any of the things that we pursue in terms of lifestyle or healing or transformational type of changes, the one thing that is absolute is that we are what we practice. Often we think about practice associated with taking up a sport or a musical instrument, or practicing if we're learning a second language. Those are devoted, concentrated ways that we practice. to gain a particular skill and competence and even mastery over something. But we don't often think about that the repetitive ways that we think and move and behave are also practices that are reinforcing things within our bodies, minds, and spirits. So life is a field of practice. We are what we practice. And so it's so important to choose consciously and commit to a daily practice that supports and aligns with what we care about. So I want you to just take a minute for your note-taking, and just top of mind, what comes to you when you ask yourself, what am I repeatedly practicing over and over again? And now ask yourself, in what you jotted down, is what I identified as things that I'm practicing over and over again, is it aligned with what I care about and what I want in my life? So the link between these two, we often find a gap. I find that I'm practicing over and over trying to change something in a relationship, trying to change the other person. And if I'm practicing that over and over again and it's not rendering the result that's aligned with what I care about, which is connection, ease in relationship, closeness, then I have to look at what I'm doing in that practice and where the gap is between what I want and what's occurring. So it's really important as we take up a practice to ask ourselves, for the sake of what am I doing this? Like, what is it? For the sake of what am I devoting myself to this relationship? For the sake of what am I taking up a second language, learning a second language? For the sake of what am I choosing to sign up for this cleanse? So really getting an idea of what it is that we're after, and then looking at practices that support what it is that we're after. So I really encourage you here, we'll talk much more about this during the cleanse, but I encourage you here to look at committing to a daily practice, finding a practice that aligns with what you care about, and devoting yourself to that on a daily basis. It can be yoga, it can be meditation practice, a journaling practice, a martial art, walking or hiking, but making that something that you're doing on a daily basis, and really commit to it over time so that you can see and track the changes that occur in your life that are consistent with what you care about. Included in this webinar is a recording that I've done of a meditation practice. I've had a meditation practice for 20 years now. And I recorded a short guided meditation for you. So I really, I invite you to take time for yourself, to sit down in that meditative space and to really tune into what is it that you care about and what is it that you envision for your life and how can you be present with what's here now. Thanks so much. It's great to be here with you.
Great. Thank you, Tara. So that guided meditation will also be, the link will be there in your email tomorrow. Awesome. Oh, well, we've already gotten two great tools, and here we are on practical tool number 3, and Melinda, who is our writing coach, transformational writing coach. So Melinda, let's unmute you. There you go. Take it away, Melinda.
Well, hello, everybody, and glad that you're here tonight. I have been using journaling as a tool going all the way back to high school. I grew up in a pretty dysfunctional home, very violent home, and I would go into my room and write about my feelings. I then, of course, went into a marriage that pretty much mirrored my home, and I was able to write myself out of that marriage after 12 years and go on with my life. all throughout my life, whenever there's been something difficult or even joyful, I have found journaling to be a very comforting friend. And I've actually saved all my journals. I have several boxes in my basement, and probably will have to commission Jane if anything happens to me to come in and burn them before anybody else gets in the house. But anyway, journaling is very powerful, and there's been more and more research about the power of journaling and the effect it has on your nervous system, on the way that you think and the way that you feel. And one of the good things about journaling is you can throw away all that stuff your high school and junior high school teacher taught you about writing. If you got a lot of red marks and they complained that your sentences weren't sufficient for an A, that can go out the door, because empowerment writing is about using your own language. There's no editing. Nobody's going to see it unless you want them to. And it becomes a very powerful tool for finding your own voice. So a recent experience I've had, and like Maura and Tara had mentioned, Jane sort of shows up. I've known Jane for about 4 years. We're both from California, but we met here in Wisconsin. Right before I had met her, I had been diagnosed and pretty much recovered from stage 3 colon cancer. But this December, we learned that it had metastasized to my liver, and my doctor, of course, gave me a death sentence. So when you get that kind of news, you tend to sort of go within yourself, and Jane had encouraged me to try to look at the cancer as something other than a fight. And to start, she knew that I had stopped writing because last year had been really stressful. And so I started writing again. And through that tool, I was able to, and a lot of Jane's coaching and making radical changes to my diet, the things that are going to happen during the cleanse, making that a permanent part of my life, I was able to actually make the decision, and just wrote the note to my doctor today, my oncologist, that I'm going to stop the chemo. I'm going to go on with self-healing, and I'm very confident that I will have what's called a radical remission. And all of this I was able to process through my writing until something just ignited within me, and I had the power to go with my intuition. So several people tonight have talked about transformation through getting in touch with your intuition. And that's what writing can help you do, is transform. And what's very good about writing in community is when you share your writing with other people and they respond to your writing, you begin to appreciate your own writing. You can write something that feels sort of like not that big a deal, but when somebody else reads it, they are greatly moved and influenced. And when you hear that your voice is making the difference in the lives of other people, in addition to helping you heal, that is very, very powerful. So one of the things that we will be doing during the cleanse is a 4-day writing task. And you are going to be asked to share that in the private Facebook community so that you can put your voice out there, and then you can get the feedback and the encouragement from the other members of the community. When we think of writing, we think of experiences that caused us stress, traumas, or other emotional events that are now stressors in our life, whether they're conscious or unconscious, but certainly they're unresolved. So writing writes, R-I-G-H-T-S, your experiences, and this leads to healing. So in the handout that we're giving you, I've written several bullet points for transformative journaling, giving you some tools that you can use to write yourself and get your journaling going. And I want to share a quote that from one of my transformative writing coaches. Everything significant is always present, but it needs to be given voice. The job of transformative journaling is one of bringing forth and transmitting what exists within us, but which we do not know. So I'll be looking forward to working with you on the cleanse, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Melinda. One thing I just want to add about Melinda's story that she didn't talk about, but I'm going to talk. I'm going to rat her out here. Is that when she went through the first cancer diagnosis, she went a writing and she went a creating and developed the Wisconsin historical marker. Is it Blogspot? Is it Blogspot? What's the address?
Yeah, WisconsinHistoricalMarkers.blogspot.com.
Oh my gosh, you have to check out the site. You want to talk about a rechanneled energy on the positive. She knows more about Wisconsin historical markers than the Wisconsin Historical Society. Her writing is so powerful and has such a tremendous following. And even though, she had the stressor that I think you believe, right, that the stress is really what brought it back. In immediately identifying that and changing that, the decision that you made, and the decision is not right or wrong, good or bad, whether or not somebody stays in chemotherapy, whether or not they go holistically, your experience with the work and what you're doing right now has actually had positive results, and that's where you made your decision. So she's really done great work. So thank you so much for sharing this. This is really important and is a part of our cleanse and is a part of the community experience. So it's awesome.
Thanks,
So, all right. So you've now gotten, heard from 3 different people, their experience. One of the things we can't do this alone, right? The Second Heart Cleanse, which is the cleanse that I lead, if you really are looking to make transformative shifts in your life in a very short period of time, if you need support with this, like we're giving you tools and you're going to get the PDF tomorrow and you can start working on this right away, then by all means, please, and do start it anyway. Start something, start a daily practice. We encourage you to do that. But if you want to get kind of a jump start in this transformation process, at the same time, working on the mind, body, and spirit, right? Working on cleansing your body. Spring is in 2 weeks. Can you believe that? 2 weeks, we've got spring equinox, which is the very first day of our cleanse. And in my experience, boy, we shift people. It's amazing. They shift internally and externally. We're going to help you transform any stuck energy that you might have. We're going to be setting intentions. And we're, all these coaches, and I don't even have all the coaches on here. We have an acupuncturist. Jana couldn't make it be on tonight. She's working tonight. But Jana is part of our cleanse. How many programs do you see online that have so much coaching support? So it's Second Heart Cleanse. It's kind of like a cleanse playground, right? The group energy magnifies the experience. It makes it easier to kind of move out stuck energy. It's for the novice and the experienced cleansers. So some of the things with my cleanse that people experience, oops, got ahead of myself there. Some of the people that they experience are regained hope and passion. Typical weight loss is 5 to 8 pounds. Everybody pretty much gets weight loss in this particular cleanse. It is a liver and gallbladder cleanse with a flush at the end. You have increased energy. People thrive. We definitely have greater awarenesses of root causes because we're really tapping into the intuition. We're really trying to teach you how to tap into that intuition and how to feel safe with it, right? And practice with it in a very safe setting. I have to talk about this one cleanser testimonial, Wendy, from our last cleanse. She experienced kind of one of the most miraculous transformations that I've seen on it. For the past 2 years, she didn't go a day without her shoulder dislocating. And she was in severe pain, and she had to wear kind of a shoulder harness every single day. She could move her arm. The moment she moved her arm, it would dislocate again, and she'd be in pain. Gosh, it was just not a way to live. In fact, she didn't even tell me this when she got onto the cleanse. It wasn't until the very last day that she called me up, and she says, I really need to talk to you. And she said she woke up that morning after the flush, after doing all of this work, the energetic work and the physical work and cleaning up her diet. And she woke up the next day and she could lift her arm over her head without dislocating her shoulder. It was unbelievable. She had been suffering with this for 2 years. And and that's kind of the physical part of it. But there's, also we've had people that have maybe had poor relationships with family members that have reunited again. People that have people that have gotten wedding invitations, had a hard time getting pregnant for a long time and then finally got pregnant after the cleanse. We've got people that have manifested their dream job. We've just had a lot of people just kind of move energy, the kind of stuck energy to open up for new and great things in the body. So there is a physical piece of this. This is a liver and gallbladder flush. So I'm just going to warn you, and I kind of gave you a sneak preview already. So these are the kind of people that actually share their pictures. You can see up at the top, with people with no gallbladders. If you don't have a gallbladder, this cleanse is for you too, and especially for you, is that you really need to pay attention because you're missing the gallbladder. There is kind of what we call an energetic drain, right? The liver has to do a little bit more work, and the stones tend to be a little bit bigger. The debris does. So this is kind of a fun little picture. Some people might be going, oh, don't show me that. And this is kind of a funny part of our cleanse. We get a little intimate here. So what makes this cleanse different? I think it's obvious. It's the support. You really get the support. We have the daily active webinars. Okay, so I'm just not going to put you on an online program and say go to town. I want to hear from you daily. We won't open the classroom the next day unless we hear from you. We have the instructional roadmap to success and accountability system. We have individual coaching resources with great coaches, a private online community. We focus on the whole, the mental, physical, and emotional and spiritual. We had one cleanser that said, it like my liver took a breath of fresh air. And here, we've had these winter months. They've been cold, and especially if you're out, where you've been maybe on the West Coast where it's been very, very rainy. You haven't been used to that in a few years. It's time to kind of clear kind of the clutter. So the next cleanse is actually going to be March 20th through the 26th. March 20th is spring equinox. Perfect. And I want to give you these dates because you need to make sure that Saturday and Sunday, at least the evening of Saturday the 25th and the day of the 26th, you really don't want to have anything on your calendar. You want to be home for that. So it's something that you need to do at home. This cleanse, I do not sell it individually. You can't do with me. You will need to do it with the group in community to learn this particular cleanse because it is that effective. We want to make sure that your safety is #1 priority for us. And we want to make sure that we can connect with you throughout, answer any questions that we may have. And we're training you to do it on your own. Okay, that's what it is. All right. So what's included in the cleanse? We have a cleanse assessment. You have to everyone has to actually be approved for the cleanse. And you have to fill out a cleanse assessment before you have access to the classroom. We have orientation videos, comprehensive manual. We have step-by-step protocols, if that's what you like. Meal planning guide with recipes, so you got new recipes, online classroom, daily life educational webinar. We're going to check in every single day. Daily life community support and a Facebook community. Okay, what can you expect? It is a vegan cleanse. We go through all parts of it: cooked, raw, blended, juice, and fasting. If there's something in there that you can't do, maybe it's the raw and you have to do cooked, no problem. We will adjust that for you. We do a liver gallbladder flush. And there are enemas. So if you are like, oh, I don't want to do that. I said that many years ago where someone said, you should do an enema, do colon hydrotherapy. I'm like, I'll never do that. So never say the never word. I ended up becoming a colon hydrotherapist. It was probably the best job that I ever had. So it's, again, one of those new tools that you can use. So are you ready to be empowered, energized, and enlightened with this cleanse? And hang on, I still have I know you're waiting for my one last practice tool. We'll get here in a minute. So normally a program with daily support would cost over $500. This retails at $297. After this cleanse, this price is going to go up. So opportunity is now. And we're on top of it, we're going to offer a discount, $100 discount. So the cleanse right now until Saturday is going to be $197. And you just go to thesecondheartcleanse.com. The discount code is webinar exclusive. And the cart's going to close on March 11th. Okay, so let me check in. There is, if you guys have any questions, there is a chat room, a chat which is live, and there's also a Q&A where you can ask questions if you have any questions. All right. So now I promised you my personal tool that where I was able in 1 month to get rid of my panic and anxiety. So this is my practical tool. This is a practical tool number 4. This tool, I would say this tool kind of saved my life. So this got me, like I said, I was in panic and anxiety 24/7, 7 days a week. There was nothing that cut through it. But before I get into this practical tool, though, I just kind of want to go over so far what you can see kind of is the common foundational theme, you know, on how to identify with the unconscious energy that's kind of getting you stuck where you're blocked. And some of the theme is, you know, you can't do it alone. You know, enlist, if you haven't done this before, get a coach if you're not used to or haven't learned how to work through this energy. You know, embrace the feeling, you know, in the emotion. Don't mask it. Try not to cover it up with, you know, the poor food or, you know, the Tylenol, right? So try to embrace it. It does take commitment, action, and practice. But the more we practice, the easier these all become, right? There's no such thing as one size fits all. So that's why I brought in other people to give you different tools, right? Because this is going to bring us to this tool, because what I'm going to share with you, it may not be, everyone can do what I'm going to say, and it will help everyone, this particular tool, but it may not be for everyone, right? So this, I have a deep spiritual connection. So my spiritual teacher gave me 4 mantras. So I realized with my practical tool that I had to make the spiritual connection, okay? That I needed a tool, I needed a visual. I needed a visual on how to be grounded. I needed a visual on how to connect with source. You can call it spirit, you can call it divine, you can call it God, the I am, universal energy, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you be ground and present, okay? So you want to bring yourself to the present moment, whatever will bring you there to the present moment. And this is what worked for me. It was important that you ask for what you want, or you can set an intention before you go into any practice, right? The universe is not going to deliver what you don't ask for, okay? I remember some friends of my daughter, when it was around Christmas time, and their parents used to tell them, if you ask for it, you're not going to get it. Well, I was the parent that said, I have no idea what to get you, so if you don't ask for it, you're not going to get it. So it's kind of like this, you know, if you don't ask for what you want, it's not going to happen. So we need to start. I don't think we get into the habit of asking, setting an intention. It's something even that you can do in your journaling that Melinda talked about, right? You can ask for it in your journal writing. Okay. So my daily tool that I've been using, you got to ask for, you've got to believe to receive too. Let me go there before I go into what I'm going to tell you. So if you don't believe it, then that's probably not the practice that you need to do. You've got to believe it. So we've given you different tools here, and find the one that fits for you. So my practice is that my spiritual teacher gave me 4 what we call protection decrees. And these decrees will be made available to you in the bonus. And I actually made a recording of them because the more you speak them out loud, the more they have a rhythm to it. So I wanted to give you that. And then the other thing that you can do kind of right away, from a spiritual perspective, there is a force in kind of color therapy. I'll call this color therapy. And this is something that you can kind of do in your car and that I do. And it's what I call my transformational fire, my transformational violet fire. And I kind of envision this when I envision it kind of engulfing me. And what it does is it literally has, I don't know what it is, a spiritual alchemy of kind of burning away. It's kind of like a fire, burning away that which does not serve us, right? So, and as you're taking breath in and exhaling out, you're releasing that which does not serve us. So you can literally do this little mantra: I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. And you just can say that over and over again. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. You know, maybe when you're tense or you're in your car commuting and driving, it's a little tool that I make. Again, this may or may not be for you, but if it somehow resonates with you, get the tool, look at the protection degrees, see if it resonates with you or not. And, you know, give it a try. Like I said, it will work for everyone, but it may not be for you. So that is what brought me out of panic and anxiety. I did those protection decrees every single day for an entire month, and I haven't had panic or anxiety since. So that's pretty much the end. Those bonus gifts, you'll see the 4 practical tools. They will immediately uncover the unconscious and lead you back to health and help you kind of unblock this blocked energy. So each one of your coaches has put their tool in there for you, and you'll see that in your email box tomorrow. So last minute here as we wrap up. How much time? We've gone a little bit over. Sorry, guys, a little bit over the hour. Thank you for being patient and staying with us. If you have any questions, you know, put them in the chat. And let's do, you know, liver check. You know, are you ready? Is this the time now? Is spring good for you to do a transformational cleanse, to clear the clutter, literally, internally, externally, right? It's not just about house cleaning and spring cleaning, but internal too. You can register now at thesecondheartcleanse.com, and the early bird code is webinar exclusive. We hope that you will join us. This is the last time we're actually going to be offering this discount, the early bird discount, at $197. It is a 7-day cleanse, but we will be starting a week prior, and we have some pre-cleanse prep instructions too. So the cart closes March 11th, this Saturday. And that's it. So write down this discount code, webinar exclusive, and I just wanted to thank you for taking the time, coming out. We hope that you learn something new today. Take your journal, your piece of paper that you're writing on tonight, and then take your PDF that you're going to get tomorrow, and start meditating or doing one of these practices or journaling on what you wrote down, and start that awareness and start that transformational journey to a better and a healthier you. You deserve it. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you to my coaches, to Tara, Melinda, and Maura. And I don't know if Melinda is still there. Are you there? Here she is. All right. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. And let me just check and see if there's any chat or questions. It looks like we are good. So thank you, everyone, and good night.